Hi, do you love horror? Me too. Do you love long-form content? Me too. In fact, there are plenty of media across all different genres that I absolutely love. I have a lot to say, especially about video games. I might get a little mad, a little passionate, and a little over the top sometimes, but that's just my way of expressing how I feel through my content. I've created this channel to explore my specific thoughts across all my favorite media throughout the years. At times, I have quite unorthodox opinions, like my passionate feelings against the Silent Hill 2 remake, which I constantly have dunked on already throughout my videos. I also sometimes just can't help but be one with the crowd and endlessly praise something that everyone else is praising, like Evangelion. You can expect the original thoughts that come from a passionate place though. I've grown up a lot around games, movies, and TV shows my whole life. The passion I have for content creation comes from loving shaping and sharing my opinions. I still see YouTube as a place for people to broadcast themselves. The beauty is being able to create the videos that I love to make. On this channel, I plan to only cover things that I'm actually passionate about, whether that is passionately negative or passionately positive. Today, I am just here to share what type of things you can expect on this channel.
Stars.
This is an easy first choice. I already knew when I made this channel I was going to cover Resident Evil. While Resident Evil is a goofy and campy series, there's so much to talk about with those games. There's so much love and weird stuff put into those games that it's impossible not to talk about them. Everyone has different opinions on what their favorite Resident Evil games are. I love Resident Evil, and my favorite one is easily the original Resident Evil 3. It is the perfect blend of survival horror and campy action that the series is known for. With an impressive dodge mechanic and extremely fast pace, with Nemesis being the perfect stalker enemy, and the scaled down areas that allow for a feeling of exploring the city in a whole new way, this is something that the remake completely failed at replicating, and why you will also see a video of me covering why the remake sadly butchered the entire game for me. While you will see a lot of channels either ignore the MTV series of Scream or just talk about how they hate it compared to the original films, on this channel that's not something you'll hear from me. The Scream franchise is all over the place. The original is universally agreed to be the best among the series, but everyone else disagrees on what is the best sequels. For me, the only sequel I think that is truly on par with the original is Scream 4. However, I adore all of Wes's films, and I think even if some of them are not as good, it's still quite great. It's not always a bad thing to have sequels that are worse than the original film if they manage to be entertaining. This is something that I think that almost every single Scream does except Scream 5. As for the TV show, I quite love it. I don't think it's on par with the two films I mentioned before, but I really do love this show. It's a corny CW high school setting feeling, however with mostly stronger actors. The only person I don't really like in the show is Emma, but with such a strong cast, I don't even see it as an issue. Noah is legitimately better than Randy, and unlike Randy, we get a shitload of Noah. The soundtrack is stellar, and honestly, I just cannot wait to talk about the MTV show. I have so much to say about it. I might be a newcomer to the Metal Gear franchise, however I have a shitload to talk about with this masterpiece. There are certainly some bumps along the road. When talking about a franchise that is so wacky and unique as Metal Gear, it's impossible not to have negative opinions about some of the games. When talking about a series like Metal Gear, it's similarly like Resident Evil, where people are unable to agree upon universally the best games in the series. Metal Gear Solid 3 will be the start of our journey, with conflicting boss fight mechanics yet a masterpiece in storytelling. I completed almost all these games in around 2 months, and I had a very fun experience in every single one of them due to gameplay. There are not many stealth games out there like them, and any excuse to go back and replay them is a huge plus in my book. I think Metal Gear Solid is one of the few games where the gameplay gets better in almost every single game. And probably other sitcoms. However, these are the two shows that also inspired me to create this channel. Everyone needs some casual filler in their life, and for me it always came in the form of sitcoms. These shows have always been there for me throughout the years. For starters, you will see videos covering every single episode of each of these shows and rating them, giving a mini review for each episode. That will then prepare us for the bigger video of covering why I think How I Met Your Mother is not only far better than Friends, but is the best sitcom of all time. This show has so many hidden emotional weight and gut-punching moments when you least expect it. How I Met Your Mother lives in an absurd heightened reality through which they end up replicate a lot of experiences that almost everyone has gone through. No matter who you are or where you come from, there will be at least one episode of How I Met Your Mother that will play on your heartstrings throughout the portrayal of a serious matter, such as the really sudden death of a parent, infertility, the abandonment of a parent.
You're just some lame suburban dad.
Why does that make you so mad?
Because if you were gonna be some lame suburban dad, why couldn't you have been that for me?
Now let's take a step back and go back into horror and start talking about Silent Hill, which much like the Metal Gear Solid franchise, this is something I only recently got into. The original trilogy and Silent Hill F are some of the best games out there. I would argue they are easily the best survival horror games out there, mixing survival horror mechanics with a weird cult-filled psychological element, and you have some of the scariest games ever too. One thing this channel is a massive fan of is fixed camera angles and tank controls. People argue they make games less accessible and are annoying to play. However, it's clear that games like Silent Hill 2, the clunkiness exists for a purpose. Hitting the monsters on the head with a plank of wood as a crazy stupid dude just makes so much more sense than a well-refined combat. It's what makes Silent Hill F such a worthy sequel to the Silent Hill franchise. While I think the game could be awesome in some situations with some fixed camera angles, I think Silent Hill F is the perfect example of how to modernize a survival horror game. There is a big difference between clunky controls and bad controls. While largely intentional in the first 3 games, it's clear that Silent Hill 4 was a whole different level of clunky, and there's a reason that this game as a whole didn't gel well with others. Silent Hill 3 is easily my top 5 games of all time, and Heather is a perfect representation of a teenage girl. There's honestly no series out there that I love more than Yakuza. While there are games I like less than others, every single game from the series I think is better than the majority of games that exist in the world. Each title gives a quirky, funny, but serious story. It's gone on so long that it's quite possible that Yakuza is the game with the single most cutscenes in the franchise. The series, due to sheer quantity of games, has gone through a bunch of experimental phases. In Yakuza 5, one minute you're grinding people's faces into the ground as Kiryu, then the next you're a pop idol in the middle of a perfect blues situation. The series is beyond wacky, but has some of the strongest villains I've ever seen in a piece of media. Yakuza does a very good job at every type of villain. There are some I have mutual respect for, some I absolutely detest, some that are just absolutely bonkers and want to fight, and some I am in tears fighting with the circumstances because we're being forced to fight them. There's not a single game, in my opinion, with bad combat, and even when you get tired of beat-em-up combat, don't worry, because Yakuza has made the insane decision to go turn-based in the 7th installment of the franchise. I definitely have some conflicting feelings about that, but you cannot deny the balls the developers have to go this route. There's so much to love about Yakuza, and thus a lot to talk about. There's so much to cover and only so much time in the world to make it. I put a lot of time and effort into my editing in every video I make. I'm learning with every video, and my content is only improving with every upload. I cannot possibly list everything I'm going to cover because it would take an impossible amount of time. However, I will give a brief list of other things you can expect from this channel. Saw, Halo, Tomb Raider, Chucky, A Nightmare on Elm Street, Signalis, Red Dead Redemption, the older Call of Duty games, Alien Isolation, The Last of Us, Just Cause 3 and 4, The Evil Within, Persona 5, Stranger Things, Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Community, Nolan movies, Ash vs. the Evil Dead, Alien, The Thing, The Shining, Dead Rising, The Ring, The Conjuring, Sonic, and You're Next. You can expect videos on all these and many more. Please once again consider subscribing to not miss any of these topics.